Hello everybody, welcome back to the Dragon's Library. So today I'm going to be showing you guys a review that I recorded a few weeks ago, back before I went on my break. I was going to have it come out then, but stuff happened and I wasn't able to release it, and my throat is killing me right now, so I decided, since this is already basically recorded and I won't have to record that much for it, I can just finish the edit on this and release it. So this is from a few weeks ago. There might be a few references to plans that kind of fell through. Just ignore those. So yeah, thanks. Steelrising is set during a alternate history French Revolution in a world where magic and steampunk robotics took off, and the King Louis decided to create an army of semi-sentient automata, which have now run rampant through the city, destroying rebels and loyalists alike. You are Aegis, a robot in the service of Marie Antoinette, and she sends you out into the city to find answers on the king's madness, which resulted in the disappearance of both of her children. Along the way, you join forces with the revolution, and in the process, end up hoping to overthrow King Louis's grip on the city, and, stop him from controlling the automaton. First by seeking out his inventor, who created the machines, and later hunting down the madmen who have helped him reign like this. Continuing on to the gameplay is very Souls-like, with a distinctly Ubisoft-ish air, in my opinion. The game is a mix of Souls-like action RPG combat combined with Metroidvania-styled world exploration, which opens up as you explore. However, the areas aren't very interconnected. With that premise out of the way, let's go over the things I like. And first up, let's start with the mechanics. The game has several interesting mechanics, including the cooldown and overcool. The stamina bar is essentially your heat bar. Once you heat yourself up too much, you need to recover. And while you're doing so, you can't use any of the actions like dodging or attacking or stuff like that, so you have to very carefully manage your stamina bar. Now, this is a pretty standard Souls-like mechanic in general, in many respects. However, the stamina bar's complete lockdown of a lot of stuff, and the fact that it doesn't recover for several seconds, means that it's actually much more detrimental to use up your entire stamina bar. However, there is a sort of quick fix. If you, once the stamina bar starts refilling, it'll briefly flash white and then drop down to 0 again before the green bar starts to fill up. I might have a clip of this showing on screen. However, if you hit triangle at just the right space, I play this on the PS5, so, that's the one you're using, you will instantly recover your stamina bar up to the point where you mashed it. Basically, that white bar is what you could do. It's a little quick time event. In addition, you will also take some frost buildup. If you do this too much, the frost buildup will complete, and you will freeze in place for a few seconds so you button mash your way out of it. This is an interesting twist on the stamina management mechanics, and one that, while initially difficult to start with, which led to several deaths in the tutorial level where I died because I ran out of stamina and was not used to not even being able to, start doing stuff, because the stamina recovery period is longer than most other Souls games. But once we get used to it and the quick time event, it actually becomes a very interesting twist in the mechanics that I would like to see replicated in several other games. In addition to this, you also have the weapons. You have basically... It goes for more of a... I wouldn't say streamlined, because it has about as many stats as Dark Souls 1, maybe minus a few. I'd say more like Bloodborne stat system. Basically, you have your strength, you have dexterity, you have magic, you have engineering, which is armor/loot drops, you have health, and you have stamina. The stats are very well defined. I like that each of them have clear things they affect, and a lot of Souls games have stats that are like an accumulation of multiple different stats, maybe one stat minorly increases your luck and one stat majorly increases your luck, and that's always just been a little annoying to me trying to optimize. But in this one, it's very easy to optimize your build, which I always found entertaining. I went for an alchemy playthrough, which is what you're going to be seeing here. Alchemy playthroughs rely on elemental weapons to build up status of ailments like fire damage for damage over time, or my personal favorite, frost, for freezing enemy in place. One of the things I have to give this game is that it allows for even bosses to be affected by status ailments, which is rare. Most games allow bosses to be immune to status ailments, which makes status builds kind of not useful, at least not really viable against bosses, which is always something I found frustrating, The fact that basically every boss can be affected by frost, fire, and lightning, and the fact that you're expected to diversify into multiple elements, means that you are going to be able to use your status build-up against all bosses. Now, some bosses are extremely resistant, but I've frozen some of the ice bosses. It's entirely possible, which it's just not viable or even realistic in others. All in all, I'd say these are some of the best elements of this game. However, we are going to get into some of the things I liked a little bit less. And first, I'm going to go into some of the things I'm in mixed bag about. These are my mixed opinions. So, the Metroidvania elements. This game, it starts out in a tutorial area, and then you use a map to move from area to area. There's very little reason, aside from side questing, to backtrack into older areas. And as you progress through the game and kill bosses, you unlock movement abilities. Now, what I like about these movement abilities is that they are usable in combat. Each one of them can build up a status ailment and do minor damage. I didn't find a whole lot of use for anything aside from the grapple one, and I mostly only used that when I was desperate, because they do use up the elemental pellets you use for your elemental attacks, and I was playing an alchemy build, so I didn't often have a reason to use them. However, I imagine a less elementally viable build would want to use them for other such things like building up a rare status element, something you could really use the advantage on, which I do appreciate. In addition to this, the game has a problem with its Metroidvania elements in that there's not really a reason to backtrack, as I said earlier, and the maps do feel fairly disconnected. In addition, while the story is mildly interesting, the animation is very janky, and a lot of the models seem weird, which is great for the automata. They come across as very, uncanny valley, which is what they're supposed to be. Aegis comes across as, almost human. But a lot of the human characters suffer from this in that they didn't quite make it over the hill there. Moving on from there, we have the stuff I do not like, and there is actually some stuff here. While the game is very interesting, a lot of its enemies suffer from repetitive design later on. I feel like they were trying to stretch themselves to find more creative robot designs after about halfway through. But once you're about halfway through the game, you've basically seen all the tricks these robots have to throw at you. Very few new designs aside from elemental variants are going to come up, and that was a bit of a bummer. In addition to that, the animation, like I said, is just not good. Well, at least not amazing. It just... Okay, I can't do anymore. It's the voice acting. It's just weirdly lip-synced. So you have these moments where the voice acting just seems to cut off. Mid-sentence, some lines are just not recorded. It comes across as very janky and unfinished. This is a basic thing. Have the voice lines there. There'll be moments where I'll be speaking to a character, they'll read out their voice line, then the subtitles will continue for another line, and then they'll skip ahead and the animation, the cutscene will jump, and then suddenly they're talking again. And the voice will just cut out randomly. Some characters won't talk even though I've heard a line they're supposed to. It feels unfinished and rushed. In addition to this, there is also a big problem when it comes to just the feel of the game. Basically, I like that they went for a Souls-like approach. However, the Metroidvania elements are severely lacking, aside from the basics. And it comes into a bit of a problem with the way the game is designed. So I mentioned Ubisoft earlier, and the reason I did this is because the game is basically plastered with invisible walls. I'm not even joking here. It is hard to tell a secret path from a path you could probably go through but an invisible wall says no to. There are plenty of times where I could use movement abilities to get places, and I thought maybe I was going to find a secret area, only to run smack first into an invisible wall. And there's very little clarifying this. In fact, there's one area in the battlements where you have to go around to jump. You have to jump on this platform and then jump around. And I could not tell after I got to the platform where I was supposed to jump to that wouldn't hit me with an invisible wall. And in addition to that, there was another platform I could have jumped to from that same original starting point that led me to a ledge that looked completely climbable, or at least that I could hop onto and get inside a building, except nope, it was just an invisible wall, and why didn't they have a freaking window there? It's all very janky and unfinished. In a lot of ways. And it doesn't feel like the usual day one release jank, because I've been playing this for a while. So I do have to take off points for that. And in general, I just feel like the game, while mechanically interesting and good, has been very unpolished to maybe better. The gameplay is fun, but everything around it is just so janky it's distracting. In conclusion, Steelrising is a pretty good game. It has some major flaws, but if you like Souls-like, it's definitely an interesting try. If you're looking for some alt history weirdness, necromantic sorcerer uses undead souls to raise robot army for King Louis during the French Revolution. It's definitely one of the more out there concepts. So I would recommend it almost on just shock value for its premise alone. In the end, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. It's kind of an average game in a lot of respects, and I don't think I'll ever be able to coming back to it. Hey everybody, so in case you're wondering why this is coming out, most likely on Thursday due to some last minute editing I had to do, the reason is that my throat is still killing me, and I did not feel up to reviewing and recording The Cloisters the last few days, or today. So that book review is going to be delayed a little bit. This review was recorded a few weeks ago, and I was originally going to release it along with the Black Adam review during the week-long vacation, but I wasn't able to get them ready in time, so I just kind of went on a break then. With that said, though, should have the review for the Cloisters out hopefully this Saturday or this Sunday. One of those 2 days, I'm going to try and get them out. Thanksgiving's coming up, and I got a lot going on. My throat's still killing me, so we'll see how that all goes. In addition to that, I'm going to probably try and either get the Black Adam review out or this new Netflix show I've seen recently. Might be do something like that, so we'll see how that goes. With that said and done, thanks for, watching. Remember, I am going to still be doing my stream on Thursday, including even on Thanksgiving, from 7:30 to 9:30 or 10 o'clock, depending on how long it lasts. The last stream was mostly a lot of Atreus stuff in the God of War Ragnarok stream, so can't wait to, get further into that game, hopefully finish it soon so I can get that review out before December ends, and I have to do all my end-of-the-year lists. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed the video. On your screen, you should be seeing a link to my channel. You go there and subscribe, that'd be great. In addition, you'll be seeing 2 other links. One's to my Season 2 playlist, that's all the videos from 2022. In addition, below that, you should be seeing a link to a video that YouTube apparently recommends you click on. So, why not click on it? See one of my other videos. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe it'll have something else you'll enjoy. Maybe YouTube doesn't know shit. We'll find out together.